Hansen Lane at Tesano here in Accra. My name is Kweku Ediamansa. Coming up in this edition, State files application to impose a custodial sentence on Chief Executive Officer of defunct Capital Bank, Atu Esim. Still in the courts, High Court dismisses contempt application brought against Northong Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa by Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng.
We want to assure you that we remain unperturbed. We have rather been motivated by the series of developments, the attempt to gag us. We have our resolve strengthened.
Also in the bulletin, one person arrested over the collapse of a three-story building which led to the death of one person at Medina in Accra on Monday.
And instructed the police to arrest the one we came and met as a supervisor or the set foreman. By name is it Ghanaian Abdul. He was sent to the Adenta police station and was detained.
Government evacuates 74 Ghanaian students caught up in the conflict in Sudan.
We are Ghanaians and we've always experienced peace. So going to a place where there's a bit of unrest, actually it's traumatizing, but we give thanks to God. We're actually back home, and as they are happy to see me, I'm also so much happy to see them. I just don't know how to express myself right now, but it's a good feeling.
And later, President Akufo-Addo reaffirms government's position on the zero VAT on locally manufactured vehicles in the country.
We will soon be rolling out an asset-based vehicle financing scheme as it exists in developed economies to afford Ghanaians the opportunity to purchase vehicles from the Ghana Automotive Development Program.
Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin our bulletin from the courts because the High Court in Accra has dismissed the contempt application brought against Northong Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa by Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng. The court also slapped Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng with a cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis. There's more in the following report by Citi News' Hansen Ajaman.
Lawyers of Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng filed the contempt charges after the MP was cited in a video refusing to be served with court processes relating to a defamation suit brought against him and kicking the documents in the process. Reverend Kusi-Boateng filed the defamation suit after the NDC legislator made publications suggesting that he is engaged in conflict of interest and double identity for allegedly operating under another name, Kwabena Edujemfi. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, in one of his numerous exposés on the National Cathedral, revealed that Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng, who is the Secretary of the Board of Trustees, owned a company that the National Cathedral Secretariat had paid money to. According to the revelations, Victor Kusi-Boateng was part of Board of Directors of a company who had received some money from the National Cathedral Secretariat. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa alleged that this amounted to conflict of interest and double identity. Unhappy with these revelations, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng filed a defamation suit against the MP and secured an injunction to refrain Okudzeto Ablakwa from continuing with publications relating to him. It was after the injunction order that a supposed bailiff attempted serving Okudzeto Ablakwa with the court processes. In the video, Okudzeto Ablakwa was seen refusing to be served and later kicking the documents presented to him. This act by Okudzeto Ablakwa occasioned the contempt application. However, when the case was first called in February, the judge ordered that he was not served properly, hence steps should be taken to serve him. In court on Tuesday, the judge dismissed the contempt application on 3 grounds. The first was that the bailiff was not a certified judicial service bailiff. According to the judge, the Chief Justice in 2021 directed that writs should only be served by members of the judicial service, but the court noted that the alleged bailiff is not a staff of the judicial service and the process cannot be said to be legitimate. For Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the ruling has only motivated him to further expose what he describes as corrupt activities of the government.
Most importantly, my colleagues in the House who have really stood by me throughout. I'd like to thank all of them and also the people of Ghana who have remained resolute behind the truth and behind justice. Clearly the judgment is very sound. You see that even in the case that they brought, it was fraught with all kinds of inconsistencies, irregularities. You had the erudite judgment of the respected judge. At this point,
the second ground was that the alleged bailiff did not follow due process in serving a member of parliament, since Okudzeto Ablakwa said he was on his way to parliament. The judge also in delivering his ruling indicated that the applicants did not prove the contempt application beyond reasonable doubt, as there were inconsistencies in the facts presented before the court. Justice Charles Jemfi Dakwa dismissed the case, and Reverend Victor Kusibuaten was slapped with a cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis. For the National Democratic Congress, on whose ticket the legislator is in Parliament, they will always support the North Tongue MP.
We actually were in no doubt at all. We knew truth was definitely going to prevail. It was clearly unnecessary futility, a waste of everybody's time, an attempt to stop what we knew was just truth. And it's sad that this country has to be reduced to this level where people who are doing what is right have to be literally put into this whole exercise. The time is wasted, attempt is being made to create impression that they actually are the criminals, when actually they're innocent. So we can only say that for us, it's basically justice done, which is expected to be. And we expect the people of Ghana to take clear inspiration from this and to know that between now and 2024, everything must be done to expose all the lies that are going on, bring out all the criminality that are going on without any fear, knowing that truth will definitely always be.
Let's just stay in the courts because the state has found an application to impose a custodial sentence on Chief Executive Officer of defunct Capital Bank, Ato Essien. This follows failure of Ato Essien to pay the first 20 million of the 60 million Ghana cedis restitution money he was ordered to pay by close of the year. There is more in this report.
Ato Essien, who is CEO of the defunct Capital Bank, was expected to have made payment of 20 million Ghana cedis into the coffers of the state by April 28, 2023. However, checks by the state reveal that the monies have not been paid as of May 2, 2023. Ato Essien, who was standing trial for causing financial loss to the state, had entered into a deal with the state under Section 35 of the Courts Act, indicating that he will plead guilty to all the charges against him and in return make restitution and reparation. Based on this, series of negotiations were held between the Attorney General's office and Ato Essien for Ato Essien to pay 90 million Ghana cedis as restitution and reparation within 1 year of the date of the conviction. As a result, Ato Essien agreed to pay an initial deposit of 30 million Ghana cedis and pay the outstanding 60 million Ghana cedis in 3 installments of 20 million Ghana cedis within a year from the day of the conviction. The court, which initially was reluctant to accept this deal, on December 13, 2022, accepted the terms of payment between the state and Ato Essien, and in accordance with the terms of the agreement, Ato Essien pleaded guilty to the offences charged and was convicted by the court. This was in exchange for a custodial sentence for which Ato Essien would have received for the offence committed. As part of the terms of the agreement, any default in the payment of any of the tranches will result in custodial sentence being handed to the former CEO of the defunct Capital Bank. The application for a custodial sentence to be imposed on Atu Essien, cited by Citi News, indicates that on April 28, 2023, the state wrote to the Controller and Accountant General to ascertain whether, as at the close of day on the 28th of April 2023, Atu Essien had paid the 20 million Ghana cedis as contained in the agreement and in fulfillment of the orders of the court. The state indicated that a response from the Controller and Accountant General's office on 2nd May 2023 revealed that no such payment had been made by the respondent. The state claims that Atu Essien, having failed to fulfill a condition imposed on him by the court under Section 35 of the Courts Act, the outstanding amount under the agreement has become due and the respondent is liable to a custodial sentence by the court.
Let's bring you more stories. And the National Communications Authority, NCA, has assured Ghanaians that the SIM card register has not been breached. This comes after some Ghanaians complained that unknown phone numbers have been registered and linked to their Ghana cards after checking with the short code given by the NCA. The NCA is thus advising affected persons to report to their service providers to get any unknown phone numbers linked to their Ghana cards disconnected. The following report has more.
The government in 2021 began a SIM re-registration exercise aimed at putting together a proper SIM register. As part of the exercise, the National Communications Authority on 1st May released the short code that would enable Ghanaians check and verify SIM cards that have been linked to their Ghana card. By dialing *402 *1#, one is taken through a couple of verification process to receive a list of mobile numbers linked to their Ghana card. The National Communications Authority has been explaining the reason for the exercise.
This short code, or the access to be able to determine or find out how many SIM cards are linked to your Ghana card, was part of the SIM registration exercise. We actually began the discussion for a modality for consumers to be able to access their database and then determine which SIM cards are registered with their Ghana cards. This discussion began last year, but we had actually wanted the SIM registration exercise for people to really register their SIMs, because there was no use outdooring this access or short code when people had not registered.
Some Ghanaians who spoke to Citi News described the process as smooth.
So I tried it yesterday when it came out. So I tried it, yes. And for me, it's the same numbers that I use for the registration, which as well. I didn't see any other different numbers. I think for myself, I checked it first. I realized that I had like 6 numbers registered in my name. But I have MiFi and stuff, so I really forgot that I have to register the MiFi. That is why, because first I have just 3 lines. How come I have 6? But I realized I registered my MiFi and the stuff, so it wasn't any different. It was the same number I did the registration for.
Was it difficult, the process? Was it difficult?
No. It was *402 *1#. Then you try, then they will ask you to input your Ghana card number, which you approve by your date of birth. Then you receive a text message to inform you that the numbers you've registered under your Ghana card. That's cool.
How was the process like?
Oh, it was simple. I followed the direction and then I had everything smooth. Okay, I had a positive feedback because all the numbers that popped up on my phone were numbers I've linked my Ghana card to.
Which how many numbers?
I have about 6 numbers.
Why?
Yes, I have about 6 numbers.
Oh, I see.
Actually, I use all those numbers. And I didn't see any different number apart from what I asked them to use.
However, some Ghanaians, after going through the activation process, took to social media to complain about the unknown numbers linked to their Ghana card, raising concerns of personal data breach. But the NCA has assured that the SIM register has not been breached.
I'd like to take this opportunity to assure consumers and the general public that the SIM registration or the SIM register has not been breached. What happened was that people actually, these unscrupulous agents, use people's Ghana cards to do the star 404. That was the first stage of the registration after they had done the legacy registration. So these registrations actually had to do with the stage 1 of the registrations and not any information that was on the central SIM register. So people can be assured that their data is safe and that the NCA will comply with all the requirements of the Data Protection Commission to make sure that their data is safe.
The NCA, while advising Ghanaians to report to their service providers to get any unknown phone numbers disconnected from their Ghana card, said they would deal with such unscrupulous persons.
Now, government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has facilitated the safe evacuation of 74 Ghanaian students caught up in the conflict in Sudan. The anxious parents couldn't hide their joy when they saw their children who they had not seen for over 5 years due to their tertiary education. The Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Kweku Aprachum Sapon, told the media that the ministry has formally received only 80 names as Ghanaian citizens in Sudan. My colleague Fred Duho was at the airport earlier today and has come through with this report. Fred, tell us more.
Some 74 Ghanaians who were schooling in Sudan hitherto came face to face with the war crime taking place in Khartoum in Sudan, and through government efforts, a number of them have been evacuated from that war-torn zone, a war that is taking place between the paramilitary and the armed forces of Sudan. The situation has caused a lot of distraction to many properties, as well as a number of lives have been lost. So far, government efforts has enabled about 74 of these returnees back home to reunite with their families.
I come here to pick my daughters, my daughter and my nephew. There are 2 daughters there.
Where are they coming from?
Sudan. They are coming from Sudan. They are attending school at Sudan, Ahfad University at Sudan.
Now, hearing about what is happening in Sudan, the conflict to be precise, how do you feel hearing that back at home?
We feel bad. We feel bad. But since we heard that conflict, we cannot sleep, we cannot eat. Anytime we are on, we are expecting they are coming back to home.
He's a student over there. He read petroleum engineering. He left us for about 5 or 10 years, 6 years or 7. So we miss him. So all of a sudden we heard there is a conflict going on at Sudan. So we are not happy. So from there we heard the ambassador of Ghana, she's trying her possible best to bring them down. I used to communicate with him. Through the phone, you could hear that the bullet was just a distance. When I'm making WhatsApp call with him, I used to receive some distance, bullet passing through.
We understand the total number of persons returning from Sudan through Ethiopia are 74, and so far they are all going through some protocols. They arrived around 11:30 a.m. So that is how it feels like here at the arrival lounge at the Kotoka International Airport. You would see returnees from Sudan who made it to Ghana through government efforts, embracing, and to the point that someone, even the man is tearing. Your son is back alive. How do you feel?
Alhamdulillah. These children, they are heroes. So we thank God for their life. Alhamdulillah.
Wow, I can see you are teary. How emotional is it for you?
I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. I'm very happy for them. They have seen a lot. Even on the screen, it's not easy. How about seeing in reality, bullets and missiles flying over you? I am happy for them.
That is quite
happy for them.
So that is how they are expressing their excitement, seeing their relatives return from this war-torn zone. Your parents are happy welcoming you home. How does it feel to be back home?
Well, it feels good, actually. It feels good. Honestly, it's not been easy for us. Well, basically, we live in Ghana. We are Ghanaians, and we've always experienced peace. So going to a place where there's a bit of unrest, actually, it's traumatizing. But we give thanks to God. We're actually back home, and as they are happy to see me, I'm also so much happy to see them. I just don't know how to express myself right now, but it's a good feeling actually.
How is that warm hug like? When they hug you, how do you feel?
I've been away for more than 5 years now. So I've been longing to see them. So seeing them right now actually it's a good feeling actually. I don't know how to express myself.
I am not in their shoes, but I can really tell from the hugs that is taking place here, people meeting their relatives for over 5 years now, getting to see them and embrace their relatives is such an experience any one of you would want to feel, because fleeing even the war-torn zone and surviving it in the first place, it is something they even lack words to describe.
When I went to Sudan at first, in fact, I can say, to my view, what I saw, I can say the economic of Sudan, to what I see, maybe when you go to, how do I say it, markets, you can see things are maybe cheaper than Ghana. I'm in Accra.
Now let's speak to the student leadership on how they've been able to manage to bring their colleagues here.
We were able to communicate with our students to let them know that there are certain protocols that we can abide, so that every student should live in the hostel, shouldn't go out because of the clashes.
Tell us the experience over there when this whole thing started. Were you caught up in any of these gunshots?
We were there when we started hearing gunshots and also throwing missiles, and as a student leader, I immediately tested in our group that no, what was coming up is a clash between the two forces. So there is no way a student will go out. There's no way even if a student needed something, there is an assistant that he or she can call a certain number and the number can assist to him.
Government just mentioned that they're giving you 500 cedis. Is that enough?
Actually, it's not enough, because the properties that we lived, because when this thing started, the evacuation, it came impromptu. So you need to leave all your books, you need to leave all your laptops, you need to leave everything that you save for.
The Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Kweku Aprechum Sapon, has been addressing the media.
There are 74 of them who arrived. Originally, the number was supposed to have been 75 students, but one of them decided that he was not going to come home. And our position was that it wasn't compulsory to force anybody against his or her will to travel from Addis Ababa to Ghana.
My name is Fred Joe, reporting from the Terminal 3 for Citi News.
Now, one person has been arrested over the collapse of a 3-story building, which led to the death of one person at Medina in Accra on Monday. The structure, which was under construction, also left 3 persons with injuries. 2 persons have, however, been treated and discharged. Citi News' Beverly London visited the site and has more.
4 persons were trapped under rubble on Monday, May 1, after a 3-story building under construction collapsed. Citi News gathered that officials from NADMO, from the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana National Fire Service had difficulties in retrieving the bodies because they didn't have the equipment to do so. Now, 1 person has subsequently died and 2 persons have been discharged from the hospital. This is information from the NADMO officials. According to the NADMO coordinator for the Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly, the Security Council, led by the MC for the area, Madam Jennifer Ijabing, was here on Tuesday morning to assess the situation. The NADMO coordinator has been speaking to Citi News on what steps the Assembly has been taking so far.
In the night, I instructed the police to arrest the one we came and met as a supervisor or the set foreman. By name, is it Ghanaian Abdul? He was sent to the Adenta police station and was detained. So this morning when we came here, the municipal chief executive instructed me to make sure that their concrete machines and all the things, their machines they are using here should be sent to the assembly. So that's what you have come to meet me doing.
How is it that someone doesn't get a permit but then puts up a building? Are they not supposed to come to the assembly for that?
What is happening is that just last week, the engineers came and they instructed them to stop work. And then they were hiding and then doing the project. They do it on weekends, and then when they saw that yesterday was holiday and the task force will not go, That's why they came and then they were working and the whole thing collapsed.
A team from the Ghana Institution of Engineering visited the site to also assess what might have caused the collapse of the building. They are, however, urging the public to employ only professionals to undertake the construction of their project.
We realized that the site wasn't cordoned off. The only cordon here is the police tapes, and the rubble from the collapse is not readily seen. You can't see anything here. You can't see the extent of the collapse because it looks like the place was cleared overnight. Most of the evidence of the construction that collapsed is not visible.
Is it usual for such concrete buildings to just collapse?
Well, when you employ the right professionals, professional engineering practitioners, this is no longer rocket science. Concrete construction, if the right thing is done in terms of design and supervision, selection of the right materials, then you wouldn't have such a situation. You know, the law insists that the engineering practitioners should be employed in construction projects. So this shouldn't have happened, actually.
The Assembly is also planning to meet the families of those who were trapped under the rubble.
The municipal chief executive has asked me to find out the family of those who were injured, and then the one who so that we can visit the family to take it from them, see what we can have.
When are you looking at doing that?
Tomorrow morning. I would rather base on this one to advise the general public that, you see, whenever you see the task force coming around, it's not that they are just harassing them, but for them to do the due diligence. Meaning that when you come for the permit, the assembly has to come and then find out whether where you are building is permissible or it's conducive for you to do the building.
Reporting for Citi News, Beverly Langdon.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV with me, Kweku Ediama, answer still ahead. President Akufo-Addo reaffirms government's position on the zero VAT on locally manufactured vehicles in the country. We have details of this and other stories coming up shortly. Please do stay.
Anyone can become a house owner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. In more stories, President Akufo-Addo has reaffirmed government's position on the zero VAT on locally manufactured vehicles in the country. This, he believes, will create an enabling environment for private investors to partner government on its development agenda in the automobile industry. There's more in the following report.
Speaking at the official commissioning of Rana Motors assembling plants here in Accra, President Akufo-Addo says government will provide the needed incentives for local manufacturing companies to benefit from their work.
For domestically assembled vehicles, we will soon be rolling out an asset-based vehicle financing scheme as it exists in developed economies to afford Ghanaians the opportunity to purchase vehicles from the Ghana Automotive Development Program. For the assemblers under the program, I assure you that we will continue to engage in discussions that will lead to the expansion of the market for domestically assembled vehicles at the regional and continental levels to drive demand and create the necessary traction for you to transition into complete knockdown assembly, which will be supported by components and kits produced domestically to feed into the supply chain. We have also shown commitment by implementing the zero rating of VAT on the sale of domestically assembled vehicles. This means that there's no VAT on the sale of domestically assembled vehicles, even to the end user, to make domestically assembled vehicles affordable.
The president also indicated that a directive has been issued to the Finance Ministry to present to Parliament a new legislative instrument that will spell out the implementation of the Ghana Automobile Policy.
To implement the outstanding provisions within the Customs Amendment Act 2020, I've charged the Minister for Finance, upon the resumption of Parliament, to submit the required legislative instrument proposing the implementation start date for these outstanding provisions of the Act. The implementation of these outstanding provisions will trigger the full implementation of the Ghana Automotive Development Policy and drive further investment into the industry. We will continue to do our part to position Ghana as a strategic partner in helping the continent achieve the target of assembling 1.5 million vehicles per annum by the end of 2023, as projected by the Association of African Automobile Manufacturers, and to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is located in our capital of Accra, to exploit the bigger African market for domestically assembled vehicles.
Speaking on the sideline of the opening, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Katie Amo, says government is on course with its industrialization policy.
Can tell from what you are looking at that clearly the country is on its way to a revolutionary development in terms of its automobile development. Government of Akufo-Addo is clear in its mind that we should start adding value to our product. We cannot continue from where Kwame Nkrumah, our grandfathers, before Kwame Nkrumah came in and up to now, can continue. Look, you always put in the same thing which is not very good into a system, you get what is not very good. President Akufo-Addo is determined that we change routes, and we change route by way of industrialization. Our industrialization is going to run on the back, one of what we are looking at today, that is automobile industry, and of course the production here in this country of its various components.
Meanwhile, the Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors Limited, Kasem Odamat, says the vehicles assembled here in Ghana are of certified standard.
As I mentioned, it is done up to standards. Whatever you see outside of Ghana, made in Korea and made in other places in the world, it is the same quality and the same standards. Actually, at the end of the day, Kia has came to give the training to our people and to our engineers, and also made sure that we have passed all the levels of certifications for us to be able to assemble vehicles over here, to make sure that whatever is being assembled here and sold to the customer is as the same value of safety and quality as it's abroad.
Now, the Forestry Commission has reviewed that 34 out of 288 forest reserves of the country are currently under threat due to activities of illegal mining activities known as Galamsey. This comes at a time when the government's fight against the menace has been questioned following leaked portions of a report by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining that pointed fingers at some government officials allegedly involved in the menace. There's more in this report. Ghana's fight against a major menace, illegal mining, popularly referred to as Galamsey, has been fraught with a myriad of setbacks over the years. With the president stating that he would put his presidency on the line, one would have expected progress in the fight, but the current state of affairs looks the opposite. This was corroborated by the Forestry Commission during a press conference on Tuesday. According to the Forestry Commission CEO, John Alote, some forest reserves, including Etiwa and 33 others, are being mined in. The current situation, the Forestry Commission fears, will make reclamation in the affected reserves difficult.
7 out of the 16 regions have been experiencing some form of illegal mining in those regions. Out of this, 34 reserves have been affected. These are areas where you have significant illegal mining. The total area that has been mapped is about 4,722 hectares. That means that 4,722 hectares of forest land has been impacted. But then this is only the size of the surface. Some of these impacts, result in very deep, holes, and then they excavate a lot of material. That will also impact on the forest because it takes time to get, these topsoils to be able to, get the place revegetated.
Meanwhile, a section of the public have questioned the government's efforts to clamp down on Galamsey, especially following the surfacing of portions of a report by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, pointing accusing fingers at political actors allegedly involved in the menace. Reacting to this, Sector Minister Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo said government's fight against the menace should not be judged based on portions of the leaked report.
There are things about the work of the INSIM that I find valuable and that I am working with my team to factor into the work we are doing today. There are things about the work that I may not adopt today for many reasons. Maybe even circumstances have changed or the terrain has changed and so on and so forth. But always remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Professor Frimpong Boateng's report covers 2017 to 2021. It's a report of his stewardship, of his work. It's not the report of my stewardship from 2021 to date. So, with the greatest, I've heard people make the point that Frimpong Boateng's report shows, we failed. Minister Jinapo has failed. Akufo-Addo has failed. He's not written a report about my stewardship. I think a time will come when the jury will be constituted to pass judgment on my own efforts.
Also addressing issues of arrears owed seedlings providers for the Green Ghana project a year ago, a Deputy Lands Minister, Benito Wusubio, disclosed that the Finance Ministry has been contacted to clear the debt before this year's edition of the project begins.
The Forestry Commission gave the contracts to them, and as such, they have compiled a list of how much they owe each and every individual one of them, and this comes from all across the various districts. Yes, this has been put in a document form. We vetted it, and it's been submitted to the Ministry of Finance.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. Still to come. Parliament approved some loan agreements which the minority claims amount to $750 million. We have details coming up shortly. Please to stay.
Sweet mothers, how could we ever forget you? This year on Mother's Day, we plan to do quite the festive opposite. What better way to show out for our beloved matriarchs than an entire evening dedicated to celebrating the phenomenon that is motherhood. Mama's boys and mama's girls, for all their love and sacrifices, here comes the ultimate Mother's Day gift. Picture this, a flavorous Ghanaian spread with countless mouth-watering treats just like Mama's cooking. A glitzy dance floor serenaded by Mama's favorite tunes just for Mama to boogie. And a stunningly intricate portrait of Mama just to remind Mama how truly beautiful she is. Join us on Sunday, the 14th of May 2023 at 4 p.m. for an enchanting evening of appreciation and enjoyment for our feminine support systems. The venue is at the Citi Gardens, number 5, Ola Hansen Lane, Tesano, and the rate is a cool 350 Ghana cedis. It's going to be an evening of Ghanaian food, dance, and the celebration of motherhood. So book now and secure a seat for Mama at the A Portrait of Mama Mother's Day dinner now. For more enquiries, call 020 5973973. The Portrait of Mama Mother's Day dinner is powered by Citi TV with support from Citi FM and is sponsored by Dano Milk and Tasty Tom.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom. Now, Parliament has approved some loan agreements which the minority claims amount to $750 million. The group says the loans seek to add to the public debt stock, which would worsen the current economic crisis. There's more in the following report by Citi News' parliamentary correspondent, Ni Aikwe-Okai.
Following the recall of members of parliament from recess by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, the House on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, reconvened and considered some loan agreements, which according to the minority amounts to over $750 million. The minority contends that these loans would only add up to the country's public debt stock and would compound the already worsened economy.
At a time that the country is in debt distress, it is very wrong for the government to still consider and to have the courage to add on to our public debt. Only today, Parliament considered and approved $750 million. $750 million. The NDC minority opposed vehemently. The MPP thought this is the right time for them to ambush the NDC and to bring this loan for approval. Because this is coming at a time that the NDC members of parliament are going through internal elections, our primaries. And obviously, most of us are contested heavily. And as a result, you don't expect everyone to be here. They've thought this is the best time to bring the loans. And obviously, they brought it and succeeded. We opposed it, but we are calling on the people of Ghana to hold this government accountable.
A Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumasi, says inasmuch as these loans are not new, their approval by the House would help the government achieve efficiency in its financial administration.
And then the digitalization agenda of government that they are supporting with some facilities. We also had to reallocate some funds from the African Bank, the $750 million we took last year. We needed to reallocate some of the funds to some more priority projects of government. So these are not new loans. These are some of the reallocation we did, and to approve the already made available funds to Ghana, but which Parliament had not been able to approve. Finally, we also looked at the EIB facility of 170 million euro, which was on lent to Development Bank of Ghana, DBG. So Parliament needed to approve that process as well. These are loans we have already taken on our books. So Parliament just approved the on-lending agreement between Government of Ghana and DBG.
The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, also referred the nomination of Justice Gertrude Tokonu as the next Chief Justice to the Appointments Committee for consideration.
I write to inform you that I've nominated Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokonu, the Justice of the Supreme Court, for approval by Parliament as the next Chief Justice. I enclose a copy of her CV for your attention. I'm fully satisfied that Justice Tokonu is duly qualified and eminently fit to occupy the office of Chief Justice. Mr. Speaker, it is my respectful hope that the approval by Parliament of Justice Tokonu can proceed expeditiously to enable her assume office as soon as practicable following the retirement of Chief Justice Eni Yeboah. Thank you in advance. Yours sincerely, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo. Honourable members, the nomination is hereby referred to the Appointments Committee for consideration and report.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Aikwe Okain for Citi News.
Let's place our focus on education because the sector minister, Dr. Yao Sedichum, has warned students to desist from resorting to violence and vandalizing school property in a bid to make their voices heard. Speaking at the Kobe Asante Technical and Vocational Institute in the Ashanti region during his tour of the region, the education minister described the recent disturbances in the school as unacceptable and will not be condoned in schools. Our Middle Belt Bureau Chief Edward Oponmafo has the rest of the story.
Students of Kobe Asante Technical and Vocational Institute in January 2023 went on rampage. They destroyed school and private properties as a way of expressing their displeasure with school authorities. 43 students were subsequently arrested and put before court. Students of the school were surcharged 430 Ghana cedis each based on recommendations by the 5-member committee that probed the incident. During the Minister of Education's 4-day tour of the Ashanti region, he expressed disappointment with the students over the incident.
There are so many people who love to sit down with you and talk to you to resolve your issues, and you don't resort to violence. That we will not condone. And I hope I will never live to hear anything like that from any school yours again. It's unacceptable that you destroy school properties in order to make your voice heard.
The minister during his tour also indicated that attempts are being made to transition double-track schools into single tracks, as over 50% of schools are already on single track. He also outlined plans on addressing infrastructure-related issues in schools.
I believe that we've made some great strides. After introducing the double track, attempts have been made to make sure that we can transition schools to single track. A number of schools are in transition to single track. That is why you don't have double enrollment in Form 1. They all come together as Form 1 students. They come together as Form 2. They come together as Form 3. The next phase, which some schools have done, is to get all of them from 1, 2, and 3 to come together at one time. There are over 50% of the schools are single track now, which means when school opens, all of them come. When school closes, they go. But sometimes people think every school is double track, but it's not the case. So in some schools, they are not found wanting at all. In other emerging schools, you still have some challenges, especially where they were single track schools and they grew in enrollment, but they never became double track. So they were not part of the emergency double track intervention. So as we travel around the region, we've seen some great things, new schools like the one at Daba, nearing completion, the STEM school, Kwadaso Creative Arts. We hope to open next year. We must open next year. We also went to see junior high school, model STEM schools like the one at Jaben.
Dr. Yao Oseduchum also spoke about a strike by caterers under the government school feeding program and the likely impact on attendance at various public basic schools.
You know, school feeding is not something that is facilitated by the Ministry of Education. School feeding is at the gender ministry. But of course, it's our children. So anything that affects our children affects us. We are yet to get the actual data.
The Education Minister, as part of his tour of the Ashanti region, visited various schools to assess their state and inspected ongoing projects. The Education Minister was also commended by the Tepa Traditional Council for his role in promoting education in the area. He was thus installed as the Development Chief in Kwaswohini for the area. The Tepa Traditional Council used the occasion to call on the minister to pay critical attention to Tepa Senior High School and address infrastructural and other challenges facing the school.
From Tepa in the Ashanti region, I'm Edward Oponmafo for Citi News.
Now, some traders in the Kumasi metropolis say trading activities are picking up slowly a day after new taxes recently passed by Parliament took effect. The traders insist the introduction of the new taxes will further increase the cost of doing business. Citi News says Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has more.
Traders who sell beverages and bottled water are accusing some wholesalers of intentionally creating artificial shortages of some products as a means of adjusting prices to reflect the new tax measures. The traders say customers are opposed to the new prices of products that have been increased following the implementation of the taxes.
Sales no akofom kakra ba ye ni mu producers ni so mfa no mane ma obu ha o twen say price no e be cost kakra ansa no de no mana ba ti no de ne boy de ti stress e on bet ma ye bibi kakra fa ho a omunya ma ye o bell for increase one no ma vena for increase one no ma is almost all the producers we are increasing no ma if you calico crowd is say no omo cry o come so omo nton adan ya omo say price my.
Oh, new price. I'm the bad employee. So I'm say about so start all demand omuhono eso. And we are so be also near mass of a boca. Obi I mass of Benyan for so. And also now, no sooner be in the factory. No one say why a kind of say darling oil. When I be in the factory oil. Me what the blame I may want them there to so. Mr. Nim the Abana didn't mean the Padua, okay, so no more, man, I mean, Nimia yet. Then the machines were there, and to understand I don't know, and then one is what it be true. The time beyond your money, they'll be the
The Excise Duty Amendment Bill will impose 20% on sweetened beverages and other products. Eduse Poku takes products from these wholesalers and also supplies other retailers within the Kumasi Metropolis, and he laments how the increased prices will affect his business.
And what try a woman drink said you must see a two drinks in fact. We said almost two drinks in fact a hard. If you say, yeah, you for no drivers, you have a fan of distributors in one the car. So
Ubakona Ruka Koma Urutela and our ton at the end. So, Nebiana pressure tea. A hard man, Kebenya, for supplies. A mobile price in actually. A beer 1 month. Mama retailers now say, at the end of tomb, no more swadomus. Obaya, I see a tomb. And Nebia Menocas, I see a mat to Calipum.
The Ashanti Regional Branch of the Ghana Union of Traders Association says its members will have no option but to pass on the cost to consumers if the government does not intervene.
We met the new trade minister before the Easter break, and since after the holidays, I think we have 2 more holidays has come around. So we haven't got the time to meet him again. So going forward from next week, we are expecting to meet him once more and see what they can do to help us, because he gave us the assurance that he's going to pass our problems, he's going to send our petition to the president again and then see how best they can solve the problem. So we are expecting something good from them.
Does it mean that if government is not listening, you are going to pass on the cost to the consumer?
Automatically, that will be the situation, because every businessman, at least if you are not making profit, you must break even so that you can sustain your business. So if government doesn't listen to it and go ahead to implement it and make sure it works as they are expecting, then definitely we also have to pass, if not all, a part of it to our customers.
For these traders, it will take time for them to adjust to suit the tax measures.
Now, prices of some products have gone up following the implementation of the new tax measures, but the traders say the cost of doing business will worsen. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi, Ashanti Region.
And that's it for today's edition of the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. Do remember that our website, citinewsroom.com, has more information on our top stories and more. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube for more exclusive video content from Citi TV. My name is Kweku Ediama, and so many thanks for your company.
It's day 3 already. Setting off from Kumasi, Noda Hotel. It promises to be a long but exciting trip to Bolga, passing through the famous